golden ring. It is a twisted string.
Hello, and welcome to Real Unknown Cinema Podcast. I am your host, Shane, and with me, as always, the retired co-host who is now the special guest star on every episode, Kyle.
Hello.
Who is not sure if he wants to lean back or lean forward during this recording.
I would choose to do both, but you would be hearing...
Instantly.
Oh, alright, good timing on that one. I don't know how long
We want
that's
to
going to
keep
be
this
going.
or go?
Yeah, no, it's good.
Alright.
Here, let me listen in
How's
on
that
this.
showing up on the audio?
It's actually not that loud.
Okay, then I guess we'll just stick to it.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine.
Okay.
And if it isn't, fuck
You know, okay. So, today before we begin, we would like to just quickly mourn the loss of Billy Harrington, gay porn idol.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Rest in peace. But today we have we're back, we're taking a break. Actually, I guess the last episode would have been, Layer Cake, if this comes out at the right time. So I'm trying to beat the algorithm this time, so we're doing movies that are relevant to movies that are coming out. So gotta get that sweet revenue.
What's that called? The Google search.
That
SAO. It's SEO. It's SEO.
SBO?
No. It's like
CSGO?
It's like SEO. It's like
SEO
an
Casio
SEO
keyboard.
An SEO aware topic. Right?
Okay.
Because you're bringing it up.
Because
then people are more likely to be searching for something.
Yes.
In that vein.
Okay. Well, speaking of searching in veins, because they get stabbed. Or the gay porn actor's dick, I don't know. We are, to tie in with the upcoming film, which I guess would have been out by the time this movie comes out, The Strangers Prey at Night, we are going back to its roots of now the decade-old film from 2008, The Strangers.
No, I haven't seen the sequel, but I heard it was awful.
Oh, really? From who?
Yeah, just the internet.
Okay.
Just generally, everyone seems to think it was terrible.
Okay. Well, we'll get into why, and why I think that the internet might be wrong about that. Sort of. In relation to this film, it might be wrong about that. So we'll see. So The Strangers, for anyone who doesn't know, is a young couple staying in an isolated vacation home are terrorized by 3 unknown assailants. But now that's just the tip of the iceberg, because much more happens in the film than just that. So,
Sure.
this is directed and written by Brian Bertino. I don't know, he might be Italian. Who wrote and directed the film Mockingbird and also The Monster.
He just does horror movies.
He just does horror movies, and he's done 3 horror movies, I believe. I think that's it. And stars Scott Speedman and Liv Tyler, who would go on to be in the fucking Conjuring, which is a good movie.
You know, the whole movie, I was looking at her face, and I just assumed no one in the movie was anyone I would recognize. And I'm like, she looks so much like an actor that I know. And then I was like, that's probably because she is an actor I know.
No, Liv Tyler. I don't think Scott Speedman went on to be...
With a name like that, he should be Captain America.
In much else. But... No, Liv Tyler has gone on to do many, let's get into it, better films. Because, I guess Scott Speedman was in the Underworld films and the Triple X films. Oh. So not a lot.
Triple X, though.
Triple X, hell yeah. But anyway, so, Kyle, what did you think of this movie?
I thought it was awful. I thought it was one of the worst movies I've ever seen. That's saying a lot, because I've seen not a lot of movies, but I've seen a lot of shitty movies. Alright, I've watched The Dino King in my day. I've watched Fred 3.
Fred 3 is the
underrated
best.
film, to be honest.
We'll probably talk about
We should
Fred
talk
movies.
about Fred 3, because that is a fantastically funny movie.
It's great.
This movie was... Okay, I should preface this by saying I'm not a fan of horror movies.
You get too spooked?
For 2 reasons.
Okay.
One, they're either going to be, like, it's psychological horror or body horror, right?
Yeah.
I don't like body horror.
Yeah.
I have a thing about that.
Yeah.
Right? It's just, it's hard for me to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not interested in a movie like Saw or something.
Okay, yeah.
On the other end of it is the spooky ghost horror, like fucking Paranormal Activity or some shit. I just think it's boring. Never scary.
Yeah.
So horror movies don't do it for me because they're either not scary or they're too gory.
Okay, yeah. So it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, sort of. Okay, that's fair.
I fell asleep watching Paranormal Activity.
Well, okay,
I was legit so bored I fell asleep for like 10 minutes, and I didn't miss anything.
I've never seen Paranormal Activity, but it doesn't...
Also a terrible movie.
Yeah, it doesn't sound that good, and we probably won't talk about that film on here.
This movie...
Yes.
I know, this movie's weird. It's a psychological movie.
Sort of.
And then they're just throwing random, like, shooting and stabbing sometimes just because.
It's... I guess if I were to classify it, it would be a home invasion film?
Yeah, it's described as a slasher film, but
it's not.
Really, it's a slasher film for 2 minutes.
Yeah. It's a slasher film. There's only really... Up until the end... A slasher film usually implies that there's death throughout the movie. Up until the end, there's one person gets killed. You know. But...
Which that scene also pissed me off
more
specifically than the movie as well. But I want to... Can we get into it? Can I just
Sure, let's get into it. Okay. Let's go straight in, jumping in.
I'm going to talk about it in big... And then I'm going to narrow down to more specific scenes that I didn't like. And why they contribute to that.
Sure.
Just being terrible.
100%.
So, first off, this movie, they're in a cabin in the woods, you know, and spooky haunted happenings are going on.
Happenings.
That's the thing. And I think it starts off kind of interesting, actually, because it's like the guy, they're having like relationship issues. He proposed and she wasn't into it. It's a whole thing. But he goes to take a drive, and she's all alone at the house, and there's all these like noises, and she's like seeing people and stuff. And I think that was an interesting setup because it's, I don't know, it could have been anything, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And there could have been something more there.
It could have been ghosts, or it could have been...
it could have been anything. You don't know what's haunting her, basically. And then it's just... The film is literally just that for an hour straight. You never know what the things are or what their plan is. Yeah. And then at the very end of the movie, there are 3 normal people who are wearing masks, and they just stab the people a bunch and leave. Yep. And that's the thing. Yeah. But the thing that's confusing is it felt like the whole movie was leading up to a twist.
Totally, yeah.
Because... the whole time, these 3 masked people, they're purposely not killing them. They, like, halfway through the movie, their friend shows up, and they're hiding in the corner with a gun, and he opens the door, and they shoot him. Yeah. Because they're afraid, right? Yeah. And I'll talk about that scene more later, because it's also dumb.
Special guest from...
Glenn Howerton's in it. It's great.
Yeah.
For 4 seconds.
Did you know that he was in it before you watched?
Yeah, I did.
Ah, damn it! I was hoping that.
Because I read a plot synopsis, so not a plot synopsis. I read the
side thing on Google.
Sidebar,
yeah.
So it said that Glenn Howerton got shot by his friend, and I'm like, why would you tell me that? That totally ruins half this movie.
The thing is, though, and maybe this is just because, and I'll talk about this. I've seen another movie by this guy. As soon as Glenn Howerton showed up, I'm like, oh, they're gonna shoot him.
Yeah.
As soon as that...
It's pretty obvious, but I couldn't tell you that it was that obvious because I did already know.
Yeah.
But this whole movie, they're purposely not harming these people. Yeah. And it's clear that they can interact with the world, but it's not clear, like, how. Because pretty much the whole movie, all these ghost people do... Which, I don't know, I assume they were some kind of ghost or spirit thing.
I think they're just normal people.
But there's normal people. Yeah. Because there's all these scenes of people looking at them, and then they look back a second later and they're gone. Yeah. And it's like, no person can move that fast. That was the implication I got. But
totally.
Apparently not.
No, they just, like, ducked out of frame really quickly. Yeah. They're like, hey, you're just standing over there.
The whole movie, the only things they do is destroy cell phones
Yeah.
and cars
Yeah.
and radios. Like,
Yeah.
they want the people to not call for help.
Uh-huh.
So I thought that there was something there.
Mhm.
That they weren't trying to kill these people. I thought maybe the twist was that they weren't trying to kill them. They were trying to set them up to kill each other.
Uh-huh.
And then it became like a weird... Because you know Silent Hill, right? And the whole
Yes.
point is like, if people are paying for their sins going to this creepy town.
Yeah.
I thought maybe they were trying to put them
Sure.
in the Silent Hill.
Uh-huh. It's actually just a
Anyway.
Silent Hill movie.
That would have been interesting.
That would have been pretty cool.
But
no.
then they just killed them.
Then they just tie him up and stab him.
And that it's such a weird scene.
Yeah, it really is.
It just comes out of nowhere.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know why they waited so long for it.
Exactly.
And the thing about it is, they're taking off their masks, right? And you never see the faces of the people under the masks.
Yeah.
But they're reacting with this, like, these crazy reactions.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, they're going to do a cut to their face, and their face is going to be like the Joker from Dark Knight Rises.
Exactly.
Or they're not going to have a face, and they're
Yeah.
going to cut off these people's faces and put masks on them or some shit. But you can see, like, parts of their faces, and they're just completely normal people.
Yeah.
It's shot in such... It's shot like there's something.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's nothing.
Exactly. I actually have a kind of a problem with that scene. Because there are people who say this film is good, and even not. People who, like, clearly this film is inspired by, like, kind of older slasher films, one specifically being Halloween. And the inspiration for Halloween is there, but I feel like the ending does take a little bit of Halloween's ending, but in the same way that a lot of people get the wrong idea from the ending of The Graduate, they get the wrong ending from this. In the end of Halloween, Michael Myers gets his mask pulled off, and you just see it's a guy. You just see it's an angry guy, which is kind of cool, because this entire time you haven't seen his face, and you're just like, oh, and then it's pulled off, and this kind of, like, seemingly unhuman killer is just this guy. But with this, they purposely don't sew the faces, because it's supposed to be like, ooh, who is it? Who is it? And it's like, I don't care who it is.
Right, I don't know
they're
any
just
of these people.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter.
It's like, clearly they don't know them. That even could have been cool. If they pulled off the mask and it was just a bunch of people and they're like, who are you? We don't know who you are. It's like you think it's going to be someone and then it's no one. But, I mean, I don't think it's going to be like they have a fucked up face. I'm assuming it's just they're regular people.
They seem to be completely regular, because later they talk to
the kids, yeah.
And it's just fine.
So it's like, why don't you just show their faces? Why are you trying to be all spooky? And it doesn't work. It's supposed to be like, oh, you don't know, it's a mystery, but it's like, I don't care.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They could have never taken off the mask, and it would have been more interesting.
It doesn't matter at all, so...
And the weirdest part to me is at the end, when they're talking to the kids, they drive away, and she says something like, it'll be easier next time, or something. It fucking wasn't hard. You just fucked around all night.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah, it wasn't like there was a moment when the girl, like, almost killed them and then stopped or something, and then they ran away, or, like, the girl was gonna stab them and then she couldn't or something. It's like, no, it was... Like, if you wanted to do something with that, that would be interesting.
And the only thing that made it hard was how long you delayed on it.
Exactly.
Because the only part of the movie where you had any competition was where the guy's holding the gun in the corner.
Yeah.
But you could have killed the girl and the guy.
Yeah.
Well before that.
Yeah. Why were you waiting so long? The problem with this film, and you recommended to me this Wikipedia article, which I will read, but I have a feeling that a lot of people like this film. But I think this film forces ambiguity by just not writing a story. Like, I think this film really wants people to be like, ooh, what is it? Ooh, I want to interpret this. I want to know what this means.
There are some interpretations.
But instead of actually writing an interesting mystery or an interesting concept but not giving everything, instead of maybe showing a brief glimpse into these characters and then, like, taking it away and being like, ooh, I wonder who those people were, it's just, like, doing nothing and just it's making a fucking... Mad Lib story, essentially, and being like, here, fill in what you think happened, because I can't write a story. I semi-enjoyed the film while I was watching it. I liked the first... I can't say the first act, because it's kind of all the first act. I liked the first, 30 minutes. I liked when it actually was them at the cabin and was just them as a couple. I thought that was a good setup. I liked the idea that it wasn't just... oh, here we are at a cabin, la-di-da. It's like there was already conflict happening between these two characters. I like the idea that it was going to be affected with the slasher. Except it wasn't, because they just dropped all that conflict as soon as, like, they showed up. So that was fucking pointless then. And even then when it was happening, I was like, okay, this is kind of interesting. I do like them, like, destroying the cell phones and stuff. But then it's just, they get captured and stabbed, and that's the end. There's no third act.
And they're not doing anything.
Exactly.
Like, there's no reason for them to break all those cell phones.
Yeah.
And to break his car and all that.
Like, it's not like they tortured them or something. It's not like they, like... You could... I'm sure the interpretation of a lot of people is like, oh, they like to fuck with them. Oh, they like to hunt them. And like, okay, but then, like, you could have done something to portray that a little better.
They just stabbed them over and over.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why... If you just wanted to kill them, why not kill them straight up? Clearly, these are, like, the dumbest people in the world, and we'll get to that. But you could have just walked in behind them, slit their throats, and walked out. Like, it didn't need to be this whole long, drawn-out thing. Like...
And...
Yes.
Okay, this is the biggest problem in the movie. It's trying to have this ambiguity of, oh, man, people just kill. And that just happens. But that's not a true statement.
Mm-hmm.
No person in the history of the world has ever killed without a motivation.
Yeah, sure.
Every person has a motivation. Mm-hmm. Even if that motivation is just...
I like killing.
Or, yeah, I'm a crazy person.
Yeah.
My brain doesn't work right, so I kill people.
Yeah.
These people literally have no reason to do this.
Yeah.
And they just do. They're not sacrificing to an old god. They're not crazy. They're just... They just do it.
But that's what makes it creepy.
It's not creepy.
Cool.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
Because they're not doing it for a reason. And I think that's the point the movie's trying to make, but that's not a real point.
Yeah.
That's like if I made a point about a movie where it was like, cow milk is undrinkable by humans, and that was the point of my movie.
Yeah.
It's not true. We can drink cow milk.
Yeah. And I think the line, because you were home, is an interesting idea for slasher films, but I can only apply it to better slasher films. Like, the thing is, and we'll talk about the sequel sort of towards the end, because I've seen the sequel, and I think it's better. But I think they do the because you were home line again, but they change it this time, and then it's one of the characters like, why are you doing this? And the younger girl is just like, why not? But it's clearly framed as she's crazy and in the wrong, and it's like, these people are fucked. Like, it's not like, ooh, spooky. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? So, I don't know. If something had happened, I would have liked it. But the problem was, it was literally just, oh, there are these creepy people. Oh, no, there aren't. Oh, yes, there are. Oh, no, oh, yes, there are. Okay, we're gonna do something. We're not gonna do something. We split up. The guy just disappears for like half of the film, and that's the thing too, when he like ran off to the barn and then disappeared, I thought that was going to be something. I thought it was going to be like, oh, he's in on it, and he hired them to kill her. Or like, I thought what it was going to be like when they shoot the other guy, I thought it was going to be then like Liv Tyler was going to like stab the guy in the mask, and she was going to pull it off, and it was like him, and they had put the mask on him. Like, I thought that was going to be something. Like, it was them tricking them into killing each other. But it wasn't. No, he just shows up later again.
Yeah, they just threw him back in the house.
It's like, why? Why did he just disappear for a third of the film? Why did they not destroy the radio before, if they're trying to be so careful about them not getting help? Why did they wait until Liv Tyler got all the way out into the barn and then smash the radio? You think the barn would be easier to make sure nothing like of contact was there? Why was there randomly this barn that we didn't see for the first half of the film when they were establishing it, that they just was like, oh, there's that barn over there, let's run to that. Like...
And it's got a lot of unnecessary shots.
Yeah.
Like, there's a part in the barn where she's looking at a tool rack,
mm-hmm.
and there's, like, a double hanger there that's obviously for an axe.
Yeah.
And it's got an axe outline on it, and the axe isn't there. It's like, I already know they have an axe.
Yeah.
And I don't need to know where they got it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's a normal thing to have.
Yeah, people can get axes.
It's like if they had to establish for 45 minutes why the gun was there.
Yeah.
They didn't.
Yeah.
It was just a house in the middle of the woods, so there's going to be a gun because the guy went hunting.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's like, where's the gun? There it is.
Yeah.
But then with the axe, Gotta have the Axe backstory. Axe origin story movie next.
Axeman Origins. Well, the thing, too, is that would have been a cool thing if it was in reverse. If you hadn't have seen the axe, and she had ran to the barn, and then she looked, and there was an axe outline, and then one of them attacked her with an axe, that would have been cool. I don't even think
you need that outline. I think that outline makes that even worse.
Well, I don't think that's a real thing. I've never seen an outline for... It's not. Like, that's dumb.
It would have been way more interesting if it was just a full tool set, but there's 2 things missing.
Yeah, exactly.
And either you know about that, and you're going to be like, that's probably where the axe goes, or you don't know, and you're like, what's missing?
Yeah. That's an axe.
Also...
Yes.
This movie, half the time, these people make the smartest possible decisions in this scenario. Mm-hmm. Like, when she first thinks there's someone in the house, she just grabs a knife and she's standing in the corner. Yeah. I'm like, that is the safest thing you can do.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just you win. They can't flank you.
Yeah.
And then later, he gets the gun, he loads the gun, and they go sit in the closet with the gun.
Yeah, that's smart.
And it's like, these are smart decisions. Yeah. All you have to do is make it through the night.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But they always do the stupid white person thing where they walk around the house going, hello? Is someone there? It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I think that's...
And it doesn't even make sense because... Okay. The guy comes back, they get the gun, they go sit in the closet with the gun pointed at the door. Mm-hmm. This is a guy who apparently never used a shotgun before, but he's
fine.
100% accurate with it.
Yeah, you can shoot him as he's kind of looking around the corner. It's crazy. Just full-on headshot. Like
he headshot the dude with a double-barrel shotgun.
Yeah.
With, like, no kick. Holding it up to his eye like this. And they kill Mike by accident, hiding in the closet. Yeah. And immediately go, alright, well, I have to go outside to get kidnapped.
Yeah. Why?
Keep sitting in the closet.
Keep sitting there.
Obviously it works.
Yeah.
You made it work.
Yeah.
You killed the guy.
Yeah.
The whole movie, all I thought is, these people deserve whatever they get. Mm-hmm. Because they're being idiots. Mm-hmm. And everything they do is just so that they can get caught.
Yeah. And, well, because that's the thing, too, is I feel like this film almost... It's a horror film, and a lot of horror films do this, where it's going against expectations. But I feel like it's going against expectations of it being a good movie.
It's going against your expectations that this movie is grounded in reality,
yeah,
and that a human being would make a decision at any point in their life.
Yeah, and I think the dumb decisions are made way more infuriating by the fact that they sometimes make smart decisions.
Exactly.
It's like, why are you not still doing that smart decision? Like, why then did you decide to... Like, she sits on the porch at one point, and I'm like, why?
Yeah, like, this guy just got with a gun, and you're gonna go sit on the porch.
Yeah.
Also, she stands there and watches him leave. It's like, either go back in the closet and hide, or go with the guy with the gun.
Yeah.
You don't go halfway.
Yeah.
You gotta choose one
Safety
of those.
in numbers, man.
Like, I just don't understand.
Yeah. And they, like, never fight back. And, again, that's the thing. Like, that's why when she gets slammed against the wall and she falls down and dragged across the floor, I thought that was going to be like, okay, and then she's going to fight back. And even when they were tied up, I thought it was going to be like, okay, maybe she's going to, like, get out of the ropes, run away, fight him or something. Because at the beginning, when they do, like, the kids calling, and they say, oh, there's so many bodies, I thought that would have been a really smart setup to then they actually kill all 3 of them, and then they run away. And then, like, Liv Tyler, like, runs out of the house, and then the kids find the bodies, but it's the bodies of the murderers. Like, I thought that would be interesting. But no, it's just them. And also, I guess Liv Tyler survives. She survives just getting stabbed multiple times.
There's not enough blood for how many times she got stabbed.
Exactly.
And there's obviously stab wounds, like, right above her heart. It's like, I guess
this takes place in the In Bruges universe or something.
Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That movie ruined my whole night. I was just in a weird mood after it for like 4 hours.
No, I feel that. I feel that too, because I was too. But here's the thing, is I had tickets to a preview screening of the sequel, and I thought about not going, because I was like, this was pretty bad. I don't know if I want to see a sequel. But I was like, fuck it, why not? I'll go. So I went. And I think the sequel is way better because the sequel actually has the third act that this film so desperately needs. The sequel has them fighting back at the end. The sequel has them, like, running away and not even being smart, but just as actually, like, not being the it of idiots.
That's why all the critics didn't like it then. It didn't have the thematic
Exactly.
of the first
That's
movie.
why I think they didn't like it, because the sequel is a little more trashy. It's a little more, like, kind of just B-movie horror film, but it's a million times better. Exactly.
It's something.
Exactly.
There's something.
Exactly. And I think this film is either going to have a lot of, like, stranger purists, I guess those exist, being like, oh, it's not as good as the original. But I think there's a very good chance that this film is actually going to get, like, pretty big. Because I think...
Because people haven't had
good.
that in a long time.
And it's good. And the thing is, I like The Strangers a little more because it builds up that intensity of, like, this takes place in a world where everyone is the dumbest person, that when they actually fight back in the sequel, it feels so much more gratifying. So as seeing The Stranger as, like, a double feature, it works just so that I am more invested in another film. So, but that was me seeing it and then watching the film a couple hours later. I can't imagine someone seeing that movie on its own and just being like, yep, that was good. That's a good movie. Good movie. And then 10 years later seeing the sequel. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I really enjoyed the sequel. I kind of maybe want to rewatch it just on its own to see maybe if I'm being a little biased just because of how bad the first one was. But
well, there hasn't really been just that classic, like, 70s, 80s horror movie that's just someone killing a bunch of people in a while, right?
No,
everything's gotta have a twist.
Everything's gotta have a twist, and honestly, like, the slasher hasn't been around that much. Like, I think the closest...
Leprechaun's 5 in the hood.
Well, the thing is, I think... What I like horror films. I think, personally, what the best horror film can do is have a good balance of intelligence, but also, like, horror film B-moviness. I think if you can balance that really, really well, that's the ideal horror film. And that's very rare. This film, Strangers, goes too far on trying to be intelligent. Strangers 2 might go a little too more on the trashier side, but still enjoyable. I think, like, the only film I can think of off the top of my head that really hits that balance is, like, Get Out. Like, I think Get Out is a really good balance of that. And I think in a post... I can see how in 2008, people would think this film might be good. But in a post like Get Out, in like a post The Invitation like world, where we see films where people actually are smart throughout the film, this is just bullshit. This is just bullshit. Like, you can't go back, unfortunately. And yeah, it's at least with The Strangers 2, they still are kind of dumb, but it feels more like old school. It feels more like, oh, you're making the wrong decision. Like, there's moments where characters are, like, actively being idiots, but that's kind of the intention. I don't think that's the intention in this film.
No,
I think
the intention of this film is to turn the horror genre on its side.
Exactly.
Because all horror movies are about how if you did bad things, you'd get attacked. But this time, they're normal people if they got attacked. It's like,
so,
why?
What? Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
There should be a reason they're getting attacked.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense that all those people, all the bad kids who were banging and doing drugs, that's the one who got attacked.
Yeah.
Because at least it's something.
Uh-huh.
But in this movie, there's no reason.
Yeah.
They don't know these people.
Yeah.
They don't care about them.
Yeah, it's just...
Just they want a house? I mean...
Yeah. Because they were home, that's it. It's so spookies.
It's not spooky. It doesn't frighten me about someone
Yeah.
breaking into my house.
Yeah.
I'm not scared of that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I could kill all three of those people.
Yeah.
And I'm not even a, like, strong person.
Yeah.
I really genuinely don't feel like they should have
Yeah.
died. Like,
No.
I don't know how they lost.
Yeah. Like, it's honestly, yeah, you could just... There's so many times when simply turning around could have made you were okay. Like, and the thing, too, with his death, when he gets shot, is that literally go into the house... Why did he not just say hello?
He said it outside.
Yeah.
And then never again.
Never again. He doesn't think there are, like, murderers around, so he has to be quiet.
He's just like, what happened?
He's just like,
Where's
what's
my
going
friend?
on? So, especially if you don't know where someone is, you can be like, hey, is anyone here?
Yeah.
But instead just walks silently through the house. And he doesn't say hello until right before he gets shot in the head. It's like, sure, guy, okay. Really?
Cinematic.
Yeah. Maybe it takes place in the Always Sunny verse, which is why they're all idiots. And this is like some weird alternate dimension. Well, the thing, too, about, there's a sequel, not a sequel, but another movie this guy made, Mockingbird, which we might eventually do. I don't know. It's a found footage film, but the twist of that film is the twist you think was going to be for this film. The twist of that film is that there are a bunch of characters, seemingly unrelated characters, getting harassed by something. You don't know what it is. It seems like maybe a serial killer or something. And then they all meet each other, and then they all kill each other. And that was the whole point, is that they were all being manipulated to kill each other. Mm-hmm. And that's an interesting twist. That's something. This is just, and then they got stabbed. And they were just normal people. And, I don't know. It's, yeah. I wanted to like this film. I really wanted to like this film, because it shows up on a lot of, like, horror movie lists. Of, like, top 10 most fucked up horror movies. Top 10 horror movies you only have to see once. And I will admit, you do only have to see this movie once.
Because you're never going to want to watch a movie again afterward.
I can't imagine me watching this film again, unless it's to study why it doesn't work and why people say it's good, but they're wrong. Like, I can't imagine myself being like, yeah, let's check this film out. Because it's not even trashy enough to be fun.
It's not fun.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
I mean, we were bullshitting the whole time we were watching it, you know?
Oh, you are watching it with Will?
Yeah.
Nice. What did he think?
Will was like... Will said, if you guys weren't recording so early, I would show up just to talk about how terrible this movie is.
Good. I'm glad. It's fucking bad, man. And I know this is a weird, like, supposedly, like, tie-in to, like, advertise the sequel, but actually don't see this movie, go see the sequel. You don't need to see this movie to see the sequel. If anything, I feel like almost you might enjoy it more. But, I don't know. Well, here, let's go through some fun trivia time of, so, at the beginning it says this is based off of true events. Now, these true events are, when the director was a kid, someone knocked on their door and asked if someone who didn't live there was home. And then later they found out that was probably a burglar, because they were trying to figure out if someone was there so they could burgle the house. So that's that spooky true event that this film is based on.
Is nothing.
It's just nothing.
And that woman!
Yeah.
Not in the rest of the movie.
I think...
Was she one of the killers?
I think she's the younger girl.
Then why'd they show her face?
I don't
if they're not going to show the rest of the faces.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. There's a lot of... Most of the trivia on IMDb... Again, you can see how interesting this movie is, because there's a lot of reaching trivia. Most of the trivia on IMDb is how the director tortured Liv Tyler. So, again, that makes... Great guy, you're really taking a page out of that Kubrick book of just being the worst.
That's how to become a successful director, just be a dick.
Just be a dick to women, yeah. I mean, that's kind of how to become successful at anything, but, you know. Oh, here we go. Many theaters across the United States were sent faulty reels of the movie, with sound problems and few minutes of static. Most audiences didn't realize this was a problem because they thought that was part of the movie intentionally. I think that shows what type of film this is when you see things fucked up and you're like, oh yeah, this is part of it. It's supposed to just be silent for several scenes. So, if anything, I feel like the fact that things got fucked up, making it more interesting, shows how fucked up this movie is. Kurt Russell has talked about how this film scares him. I guess Kurt Russell has bad taste in movies. Dude, you were in The Thing. Why? How is this...
That's way scarier.
Yeah. Have you seen The Thing? Yeah, I don't... You would. You'd have a good time. There's... Liv Tyler suffered from tonsillitis during shooting. So that's... Which actually, that is... because she sounded... Liv Tyler kind of has a very interesting voice, because she always kind of talks kind of breathily. But she sounded even more that in this film during different parts, and actually that makes sense that it was tonsillitis. This film was originally supposed to come out in 2007, but was delayed until May of 2008. Great. So, that definitely shows it's a good movie when it gets delayed for that long. Here's a totally real, actual fact. This, again, is IMDb. The blonde doll-faced first makes an appearance and asking if Tamara was home. Gemma Ward, who plays this character, also played was also played in Pirates of the Caribbean Stranger Tides as Tamara. This is a total reference that is very intentional and not just a coincidence.
What?
It's a fun fact.
So they think
they think a movie that came out years later is a reference. Yeah, I didn't know this. Liv Tyler is actually the daughter of Aerosmith frontman Steven Tyler.
That's amazing.
But that's not the fun fact. Here's the fun fact. And again, this is a total on purpose. Before making it big in Aerosmith, a teenage Steven Tyler was in another band that was originally called The Strangers. Coincidence? I think not.
That's such a shitty normal band name to have for your shitty first band.
James's car has a North Dakota license plate.
Where's this movie take place? Fucking Pennsylvania?
I think Carolina.
The East Coast is garbage.
Okay, here's this guy. It was originally supposed to be directed by Mark Romanticki. The guy who directed 1 Hour Photo is the guy who was originally supposed to direct this. But he looks like he's directed most of music videos these days.
Oof.
So,
We've all been there. Like the director of Hitchhiker's Guide.
Oh yeah, what's he been up to lately?
No, he literally is a music video director.
Oh, nice.
And Douglas Adams is like...
Oh, here we go. Here's a good one. The original script had much more interaction and dialogue between the victims and the strangers. This was cut in order to keep the intruders mysterious and eerie. Yeah. Could have been...
Because it's based on a book or something, right? I think it's based on a book or a script called The Faces.
I think the original title of this script was The Faces. The one thing is, it's arguably... And this is... I was going to talk about this too, since it seems like we still have a lot of time. It's arguably based on the 1981 Kennedy Resort murders in Northern California. Ooh. Although the director has never said that it is. So I have this Wikipedia article up on the Kennedy murders, which is the Kennedy murders are an unsolved 1981 American quadruple homicide that occurred in Kennedy, California. I don't know where Kennedy is. Do you know where that is? Okay. The murders took place in cabin 28 of the Kennedy Resort during the late evening of April 11th, 1981, or earlier the following morning. The victims were Glenn Shue Sharp, known as Sue, age 38, and her son, John, age 15, and his friends, Dana, age 17.
Probably Dana.
Dana, probably, yes. At some time, the crime was discovered. Sue's daughter, Tina, age 12, was reported missing. Her skull and several other bones were recovered in 1984 in Camp 18, California, which is in Booty country, but B-U-T-T-E country. How would you pronounce it? Butte? Okay, that's not... it's not a long Wikipedia article, but let's go through. So this is actually just turning into an episode of Do Go On, so please jump in at any time while I read this Wikipedia article on what it might be based on. Glenn Sharp, 36, and her 5 children. Ooh, I mean, maybe she was hoping she would get murdered. I thought you have 5 kids, am I right? Had been renting a cabin since November 1980. At approximately 7:45 a.m., on the morning of April 12th, Sharp's 14-year-old daughter, Sheila, returned home from a sleepover next door and discovered the tied-up bodies of Sue, John, and Dana in the home's living room. Plumas County Sheriff's deputies later determined Tina Sharp was missing from the location. The murders the murders have been committed upon for their. Oh, they have been commented upon for their peculiar viciousness. After approximately 4,000 man-hours spent on the case, it grew cold. But in 1984, the cranium portion of a skull was rediscovered in Feather Falls in neighboring Butte country. A distance about 63 miles, 2 hours and 21 minutes by drive from Kennedy. Shortly after announcing this discovery, Butte Country Sheriff Office received an anonymous call which identified the remains as belonging to Tina, but the call was not documented in the case. A recording of this call was found at the bottom of an evidence box at some point after 2013 by a deputy who was assigned in the case. So wow, this is some real Zodiac shit going on.
Yeah, seriously.
As of November 2017, no arrests have been made in connection with the Kennedy murders. Though 2 suspects who have criminal records now deceased have been proposed. In 2004, Cabin 28 was demolished. On March 2016, a hammer matching the description of the hammer suspects. Suspect Marty Smart said he lost shortly before the murders had taken place into evidence. So it's a cold case. There's not a lot on it on Wikipedia, but it looks like a cold case of a couple people who were murdered. Who, I guess, the being tied up and murdered could be the inspiration. I wish that this was longer,
and
so I could actually.
Also, they seem to just be unrelated people to the family.
Yeah. 5 things to know. Here's an article on People Crime from 2016. I guess the scene suggested more than one killer, which I guess is like the film. But again, this article is written after the movie came out. The primary suspects are dead, but the stories are still. I don't know why I'm reading this. Anyway, so yeah, that's the Kennedy Resort murders. Also, this film may or may not be based off of the film Them, which is a French horror film, which seems like another kind of breaking home invasion kind of movie. But yeah. Here's something interesting. Part of the abrupt end, I feel, there actually is a little bit longer in the unrated version. Because the unrated version is 2 minutes longer than the theatrical cut, which is after Liv Tyler gets stabbed, she crawls on the floor to try to get to the telephone, but then one of the guys picks it up and walks away. Which would have been kind of interesting, which would have served as maybe some sort of climax. But no, just stabbed, but she's not dead because she screams. And that's the thing, too. This film has some pretty dumb jump scares in it. Like, it's supposed to be some, intelligent film, but it has a lot of, really dumb jump scares
and there's
in
some in them that you don't even jump.
Yeah.
They're, such
it's
bad jump scares that you're like...
Okay.
Yeah, or it'll be like, oh, here's one coming, and then it doesn't happen, and you're like, alright.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. You got anything else to say on this one?
You should look at the Wikipedia article.
Oh, right. Okay, so that's the last thing
There's
we'll
a
do.
section on the Wikipedia article of this movie, for some reason, about, critics interpreting this movie.
Would it be impact? Oh, critical analysis. Here we go.
Critical analysis.
So do you want to read this? Because you always do a good job of... Okay.
Sure. Okay. Critical analysis. Film scholar Kevin Wetmore noted the film's portrayal of violence as a reflection of its contemporary culture, writing, this is one of my favorite things that's ever been written.
Yes.
Death is a random act in post-9/11 horror, the result of being in the wrong place at the wrong time, as the cliche goes. Unlike an 80s slasher horror, for example, where engaging in negative behavior such as drinking, doing drugs, having premarital sex are often forerunners to be killed by the killers, here, death is random and unrelated to one's behavior. So this guy thinks that this movie is a reflection of random post-9/11 acts of violence.
Wow.
How is that related?
A couple of things. One, the tower attacks weren't random. They were an act of terrorism. It wasn't just like, I'm blowing up towers because I can. I'm going to fly this plane into some twin towers.
No, there's a very specific reason that it happened. In addition, I don't think that murders got more random afterwards.
Yeah. I don't... What?
How would that affect how you kill people?
That doesn't... I mean, that's so unreal. It's not like... If you want to make a movie about how 9/11 made people more crazy, which I don't think is true. If anything, I may think people got more afraid of violence. That's one thing. First, but also, like... I think there's a big level of kind of hypocrisy, but also just kind of, like, dumbness when it comes to the idea of being punished for, like, premarital sex or drinking and stuff, and I feel like I am glad that movies are doing that less, at least in slasher films, and that's why it's hard for me to kind of get into a lot of slasher films, because even films like Halloween and stuff, though good, and I guess films like Halloween, it's not supposed to be them getting punished, it's clearly like, you're supposed to like not want these people to die, but a lot of people are like, oh yes, it's good these crazy teenagers are dying, because they're acting wacky, they're doing drugs, oh no. But I don't think this film is a response to 9/11. Why? Jesus Christ.
Okay, I'm going to read this other one.
Alright, yeah.
The film has also been noted by scholar Philip Simpson as highlighting the divide between the underprivileged and privileged classes, as well as for its inversion of commonly held beliefs about violence in urban areas and pastoral ethics. The Stranger, as many horror films do, undermines the conventional notion of rural society as a simpler, crime-free place. One might call the narrative sensibility informing The Stranger's pastoral paranoia in that danger lurks among the rough folk of the country rather than the suburbs and cities. Of course, it may be that provincial violence is a result of contamination, or in other words, that the kind of stranger upon stranger violence typically associated with urban life metastasizes to the rural.
Okay, I have several things to say about that. First of all, check your fucking privilege, dude.
What does that even mean?
Jesus Christ.
Also, what does that even mean?
I don't...
Most of that isn't...
Most of that is just talking out of his ass, but I think the implication is that urban areas are violent, but white people, rich white people are safe in their, country homes. But this film is about how poor urban people are coming into rich country homes and killing rich people.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
First of all, always slasher films have taken place in suburban and rural areas. They've never been in a city. They've never been in, a rundown area of a town. It's always Halloween. They're always in either suburbs or the middle of the forest. A cabin in the woods. That's every single fucking slasher film. This isn't different. This isn't different at all.
Well, scholar Tony Williams notes the film setting within a 1970s-era home as representative of an American tradition of violence that is random and without any coherent explanation.
What?
I don't know. I think people just think if you're a serial killer that you're random. Even though it's literally the opposite of random killings.
Yeah.
It's a very specific, you do the same thing over and over again type of killings.
Yeah. There's a film that I feel like does what this film is trying to do a lot better, called Hush, which we will probably talk about. Unfortunately, it does not have to do with Batman. But that film has a killer who is essentially harassing this woman. He's just randomly attacking this woman, but also clearly is fucking with her because he enjoys it. But the film makes it very deliberate that that's what he's doing. And that he's just doing it because he likes to fuck with people. And that's a motivation. That's all you need. You don't just need killing randomly because randomness. This is going to be the quote for the movie. The Strangers is the lol random humor of horror films. This is the Deadpool of horror films. LOL random. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about this movie.
Apparently all the actors who were involved in it thought that the script is a real great script.
I can't imagine how this reads on paper. Like, at least...
I'm assuming they read a completely different movie. And
yeah.
they were like, I'd act in that. And then he's like, here's the new script. Nothing happens. And they're like, fuck, I gotta get paid.
Yeah. I can't imagine... Like, at least... This film was boring, but at least with, like, acting and music and visuals, I was at least being able to, like, kind of watch it. If I was reading this, I don't know if I could get past... I don't know how far I could get past, because this seems incredibly boring.
A musical score consisting of 19 pieces composed by score producer Tom and Andy was released on May 27, 2008 and was distributed by Lakeshore Records. The album was received with general positive reviews by critics. It's a creepy score for what appears to be a movie that will make you jump as well as make sure the doors are locked at night.
First of all, locking the doors didn't matter. They got in.
An axe.
Yeah.
They had an axe.
Also... The only music I remember from this movie is the natural music. What's the word? I went to film school. Diegetic. Thank you. I know film studies terms. Diegetic music is the only music. You went
to school for it, because there's no way I would have known it without going to school.
So diegetic music is the only thing I remember.
You know, write some great diegetic music. It's John Williams.
Oh, really?
I mean, the Cantina Band theme. I want to see more movies where all the music is in universe.
You should watch some more fucking... I think it's Lars von Trier is the guy who made up Dogma 91 or something. Okay, so there's this thing called Dogma 91 where I think it was Lars von Trier, but it's one of those like super stuffy foreign directors who like makes probably bad movies that I don't care about watching, but acts like he's God's fucking gift to the world. And him and a couple other directors in like the 90s made this list of things that all films should do. And the list was mostly all natural lighting, only natural music, only handheld, no special effects. So it was essentially just making films really, really boring. But he was like, no, this is the only way films can be good. So there aren't a lot of films made with Dogma. Maybe I think Dogma 95 is what it's called. But there are a handful, and I'm sure... I mean, there are films with more diegetic music. None that I can really think of right now.
I just think it's an interest. I think I like it better as a concept. And I like the idea that, like, all the music you hear is going to be playing on the radio or in headphones.
Yeah.
Or, something like that.
Sure. I guess technically Baby Driver kind of is diegetic.
Yeah.
Like, it's not because technically it's sort of... Well, that's the thing. I like diegetic music, but I like diegetic music when then it becomes just in the film. Like, when it transitions, like in, say, something like Layer Cake, when it starts diegetic, but then changes into just...
Well, the other thing that I was thinking about... this is the other thing I wanted to see in a movie, because I wanted to see if it could be done. Is there's, like, the idea in music of... I can't remember what it's called. I'm a fucking music major. I don't know what the music terms are. But it's... You have to... It's something Schoenberg invented.
Okay.
You have to use every note before you can use a note again.
Interesting. Oh,
right?
Okay. Huh.
It's got a name, and I can't remember what it is.
No notes.
No
notes.
It starts with an S. Anyway, I was thinking,
yes?
What would it be like to adapt that format to other forms of art? And what would it be like to try and make a movie where you have, this is every type of shot that can be used in a movie, and you have to use every type of shot before you can return to the last one, and how difficult it would be to make a movie like that, and like what kind of limitations that would put on you.
I mean, technically do you mean like literally you can't have a camera at the same angle twice, or do you mean just like generalizations of different...
General, like a pan.
Sure, yeah.
Or like something like that. It's like, I cannot not use this again until I've gone through
everything. Sure, that would be interesting.
It's a little less solid of a concept, because a shot can be interpreted a lot of ways, and what consists as like a type of shot is also very subjective, whereas there are a certain number of notes, right?
Sure, yeah. But
I thought it would be interesting to see someone try and make a movie like that.
Totally. I don't know if that exists. I feel like it might, but yeah, that would be kind of cool. I don't know. Any final thoughts? I'm just vamping to an hour at this point.
I mean, you really don't have to. This movie's not worth it.
Yeah.
Just cut it short just to prove a point about how terrible it is.
I'm gonna end by saying, go see Strangers 2. I think it's a lot more enjoyable, but don't watch this movie. That's all I can say.
If you have any thoughts on The Strangers, where can you leave them?
Oh, well then, thanks for asking, Kyle. That's a good question. I thought I turned my phone off for a second, which would have been a problem. Let's see if I can read my notes for my cracked screen. So, if you have any thoughts on The Strangers and you want to contact us and tell them about them, you could follow us on Twitter at real_unknown and maybe send us a little tweet our way. #StrangerSucks or #StrangersGood. I don't know. Get one of those two out there.
Can we please get a Strangers Sucks versus Strangers Good hashtag?
Yeah, let's get that going. Or you can follow us on Facebook at Real Unknown. Or if you want to leave a very in-depth analysis about how we're wrong and The Strangers is the best film ever made, you can email us at realunknownpod@gmail.com.
Can you also leave a YouTube comment on
Well,
this video?
If you want to listen to us, and then you want to comment a million different comments about how we're wrong, you can comment and follow us on YouTube at Real Unknown. Or, you won't be able to hear this episode there, but if you want to check out our SoundCloud, you can go to real-unknown on SoundCloud.
Why can't you hear this episode there?
Because we only have 2 episodes uploaded, because I haven't gotten premium. And I'm not really in the financial situation.
Right, but are you just going to delete old episodes and put out?
Oh, I should do that. I haven't been doing that yet. But I should do that, or maybe we'll be on iTunes someday.
Yeah, if
someday.
I ever remembered.
But today is not that day. I want to hear what Will said. Tell me some more Will.
No, it was just fucking terrible.
Okay.
It was basically everything I said. It's just stuff that we were talking about.
Yeah, we gotta watch some more good movies, man. It's hard saying, because people say this film's good, so I'm like, this will be a good film to watch. No?
Every movie that people liked is bad.
Yeah, I guess that's right.
If your movie has a rating, it's bad. Like, the only movies I like are the ones where just every comment is like, this movie's bad. Like Dredd and Scott Pilgrim.
People say Dredd's bad?
Yeah, people are like, this movie, like, especially fucking IMDb reviews.
Oh, sure, that's fair.
Like, Dredd's terrible.
Well, here.
All the critics are like, Dredd's not a good movie. Or like fucking Hitchhiker's Guide. Everyone hates.
Everyone gets really butthurt on Hitchhiker. Do you want to do...
Yeah, dude, I get butthurt too, because it's not Douglas Adams' original vision. That's why you fucking wrote the script for it.
Yeah, man.
Jesus Christ.
Do you want to try to do a reverse Rude Views and find some, like, good user reviews?
I mean, you could, but it's probably not.
Not worth it. Fuck this movie.
Yeah,
I'm done.
Let's just cut it before it gets an hour.
I hate everything.
So that this movie never gets the respect it doesn't deserve.
Yeah, so, fuck this. Don't watch The Strangers. See Strangers 2, Pray at Night, in cinemas, now.
In select theaters.
I don't know what type of release it's getting, but see it.
Okay.
It's been real.
The first thing I remember knowing was a lonesome whistle blowing and a youngin's dream of growing up to ride on a freight train leaving town, not knowing where I'm bound, and no one could change my mind but Mama tried. The one and only rebel child from a family meek and mild, my Mama seemed to know what lay in store. In spite of all my Sunday learning, towards the bad I kept on turning, till Mama couldn't hold me anymore. I turned 21 in prison, doing life without parole. No one could steer me right, but Mama tried. Mama tried to raise me better. but her pleading I denied. That leaves only me to blame, 'cause Mama tried. Dear old daddy, rest his soul, left my mom a heavy load. She tried so very hard to fill his shoes, working hours without rest, wanted me to have the best. She tried to raise me right, but I refused. And I turned 21 in prison, doing life without parole. No one could steer me right, but Mama tried, Mama tried, Mama tried to raise me better, but her pleading I denied. That leaves only me to blame, 'cause Mama tried.